like to welcome you back to the Unfiltered Butterfly podcast. This is episode 2. What an interesting conversation we had before. I hope you had a chance to listen to it. I think it will open your eyes relative to the things that can still be done to enhance a relationship and to move it tighter and more closely together, and the joy that can come from a troubled and a challenged relationship. I'm joined by two individuals who are really the stars of the program because they've gone through this. The first is Nicole Grace. Nicole, good day. Welcome back.
Thank you so much, Mike. Yes, nice to see everyone.
Fantastic. And you want to introduce your mother to us, please.
Yeah, excited, my mom.
And hello, everyone. Welcome back.
Sharla, what exactly is it that brings you back to the second episode of the Unfiltered Butterfly podcast?
I am excited to share with everyone what Nicole and I have learned throughout our life and the times that we have been estranged from each other, and what in life brought us back together to the most wonderful mother and daughter relationship that I could have ever hoped for.
Fair enough. Fair enough. So we're going to move on with what we were talking about at the end of episode 1. A real quick recap, if you don't mind, Nicole. What was it? And of course, we can go through your deafness from birth and things of that nature, and the challenges and the tribulations that go through teenage women, and not all teenagers, but teenage women in particular. It seems that's what the ladies tell me. I don't know. You tell me. But the point is, what did you go through? How did you and your mom sort of drift apart and then get back together?
So, what we discussed in the last episode were the pattern. So, my need to belong, with my need to perform, and the fact that I was in a position where people didn't really understand my experience because how could they? But because my father decided that I would be quote unquote normal, I looked to everyone out for the answer that they could not provide, including my mom. So this created a strained relationship for many years where we had a relationship of, I would call it obligation, where she's my mom and I'm her daughter, and we love each other just because she's my mom and I'm her daughter. And then it came to a point where I believe it came to a head where some things had to change because of the fact that I was growing emotionally and spiritually into a different person, that my mom also had to change in order to meet me at that reality. So we spoke about that moment, the turning point that actually
Fantastic.
saved both of us in a relationship.
Great. So, Charlotte, what is your point of view from where we were when we closed up episode 1?
Oh, I can look back and I think about all those times that I felt like I had to have everything in control. That if I didn't have a handle on everything, then life just couldn't go on the way it was supposed to be, so
Oh,
to
because
speak.
you know how everything is supposed
Because
to go.
I know how everything is supposed to be.
I got
But you know, there's a flip side of that coin, because I remember that when I gave birth to Nicole, when she was born, was in my 30s. I was not a young mother. I call myself a mother, later in life when you hit your 30s and your 40s. And even at that time, I would always question myself or feel like within myself, I wasn't ready. Was I really ready to be a mother? And I think what has been enlightening for me as we have gone through the first episode was not so much a validation, but maybe an understanding of why I had the feelings that I did when I had children.
Yeah. So we're caught up a little bit. If you haven't had a chance to listen to volume 1 or episode 1, please do so. It sets up the situation that we're in right now, and we'd like to spend some time on the reasons that you two got together more tightly than seemingly ever in the last handful of years. And so, Nicole, I'm going to let you sort of talk about your story of evolution ever since that brouhaha in your mom's room that we finished episode 1 with, and understand where you're at and where you were going and why you needed to find more in life.
So I can attribute that to the performance aspect of me, where I was seeking happiness and I was seeking happiness outside of me. based on what society told me was the way to do things. So in the beginning, it was about go to college, get a job, a good career, and then because you have a good career, then you can retire and then you can live long. And so I was on that path. And unfortunately, it was very hard for me to be happy on that path. And because of my propensity to believe that I wasn't normal, I kept going the same direction, which was pretty insane. I never did anything different. I just did the same things in different ways, expecting different results. And
Yeah.
Albert Einstein put it, so I guess I was pretty insane. But there was a point where I had an opportunity to become an entrepreneur. So I had worked in retail for about 14 or 15 years and built a pretty nice career, paid very well, and it provided for my family. And it was, I felt like it was a good environment. But then the opportunity came to own my own business. And when that came, then it opened up freedom. Then it opened up possibilities. So now I'm on another level of, wow, could happiness be over there? So now I knew
You
that
were
where I
still
was
looking for happiness then, right? You were still
correct,
so yeah, I
correct.
couldn't find it in myself. Let me go over here because I know the entrepreneurial spirit is what everybody's talking about, and I really want to get some of that. Is that right?
Yes, absolutely. And you know, there's a saying, I believe, where it says entrepreneurship is the fastest track to personal development or personal growth. And it terrified me. It terrified me actually when I first had the opportunity. I turned it down. I said, no, 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 we can't do that because how are we going to pay our bills? How are we going to, all the doubt that came.
Sure.
But then it came to a point where I was at a fork in the road and I said, I realized I really was unhappy. My 5 year plan did not plan out the way I wanted it to. I wanted bigger things, better things, and it just wasn't working out. So we decided to open up our own company and we moved to North Carolina. We lived in Florida at the time. Picked up our family and we decided to leave it behind and boom, we opened up our own company. And boy, that was quite a ride for the first few years. We ran out of money after the first year, almost went homeless. Thankfully, I had my mom with me that was able to help me. And we had some successes that came through and we made it actually. So for the first few years, it was very challenging and it wasn't so much challenging at growing the business because I had a math student at the time, so I knew how to do the thing. But inside me was it was raging. Well, I had a hard time finding clients because I didn't believe I was worthy enough. I had a hard time setting the prices because, would clients even pay this price? Am I worth this price? All those kinds of stuff. And after about the 3.5 year mark, I was actually a winner of an award where I got on the news. And on the news, I thought that it was during COVID, and I had a cleaning company. And I thought that they were telling me to do a little spiel about what to sanitize and stuff like that. So I had my whole elevator pitch ready to go. And then when they made the announcement, they said, Nicole, you are the winner of the Rising Star of the Year award. I was in shock. I said, wait, did I win something? I won something? And the funny part is, when I won that award, you would think that you would be lighting up from the inside, like, oh my God, wow, I did it. And for me, it was the opposite. I felt shame. I felt shame for winning an award because I couldn't stop thinking about the other women that wanted to win it who were feeling disappointed at that time. So that's where my mind went. So it was complete self abandonment over here to, oh, I make people feel bad. So I was totally out of alignment with so many different things. And that's the moment where I realized that something really needed to change. And shortly after, I gained weight. I was having a hard time with finances. Everything just came to a head. So something had to change. And I remember when I encountered a book of some sort and it taught how to meditate. And for the longest time, I was raised as a Methodist. I was raised in the church. And when I was about 18, I stopped going to church because I just felt it very unpleasant. I just didn't agree with a lot of some of the things they were teaching, and it just didn't feel good. So I was not really attracted to it, but I didn't know why. I very much believed in a higher purpose, but I didn't know what. So when it came to meditation, for many years I had the opportunity to meditate. And you would think with someone with my profound hearing loss would jump at the opportunity because it's complete silence. But unfortunately, there was a belief that I had where I had to read lips, So whenever the meditation things would come on, there's always someone guiding you through the meditation, and I couldn't understand a word that they were saying. So then my belief was, okay, so meditation is not for me, so then I just wouldn't do it. Well, when I ran across this book, very simple. They just outlined exactly what to do, and I thought, oh my God, that's so simple. Okay, let me give it a try. So I decided to give it a try, and sure enough, I can't even explain the profoundness of that moment because it was so drastically different from how I was living to all of a sudden I'm listening to my body and my body just lit up like fireworks. And I thought, oh my
Okay,
God.
now hold on 1 second there. I keep the fireworks for just a few moments. I want to get a sense of what Charla's world was like while you were doing aspects and moving from Florida up to North Carolina, South Carolina, as the case may be. Sharla, what was your life like during that time?
I was an educator. I taught school, but then I had ventured outside of the education field into the railroad industry. And within the railroad industry is where I met Nicole's stepdad. So when we married, and at that time I was living in Dothan, Alabama, and we moved to Panama City, Florida, both of us could not work with the same company. So I was propelled to get another job because he was in a higher position than I was with the railroad. So in Florida, I went back into the education field. Now, to back up a little bit to when I was a child, my dad was a school principal. So I was in the environment of education my entire life. I loved teaching because there were times when in the classroom my teacher would ask students to teach the lesson. And my friends would always tell me, Sharla, please teach the math lesson. I loved mathematics. And they said, we want you to teach. You're better than the teacher. I used to really get quite excited about that because I enjoyed it and I knew I was helping them. I felt really good about it. Not so much for me, but what I was giving to them. And that pretty much set me on the education path, except for I knew somewhere in my heart there was more. But I was not given the opportunity to go for more or select where I wanted to go to school or exactly what I wanted to study. That was pretty much planned out for me. And I followed the path that I was expected to take.
And who planned that out for you?
That was pretty much my dad. And I followed him. And it was just expected. It was kind of an atmosphere that's just the way it was. So you went along with it. And I was not comfortable in letting out my emotions or my feelings or what there were instances in my childhood, just like with Nicole in her childhood, that caused me to withdraw. And therefore I was unable to take that step forward to look at what else is out there. Is there anything else other than education? And at that point in my life, I felt like there wasn't. So when I went to Panama City, of course, I went back into the education field. I left the railroad one day, and the next day I stepped right back into education because all I had to do was get my certificate. I had my degree and everything, and I just had to get my certificate, to go back into school. And then, of course, as Nicole mentioned, we reared our children in the Methodist environment, even though I was brought up in the Baptist. And through my life in the Baptist, it was rule controlled. It was you were told you could do this, you could do that, you cannot do this, you cannot do that. I have my own beliefs. I believe wholeheartedly in Jesus Christ. He is a big part of my life. But when I was raised to know God exists, but I was never raised I was raised about God. I was told about God, but I never knew. I never knew inside my heart the spirit and the feelings that you needed to really be able to grow in that particular environment. But now that was the religious aspect. And there's a difference when you talk about religion and when you talk about the spirit. So, but we won't go into a big detail about that, but that's where I was, in my life. And that's why we raised the children the way we did. And Jim, Nicole's stepdad, pretty much was the one that made the decision that it would be would be Methodist, because throughout that entire portion of my life and Nicole's portion of my life, it was his way or the highway. There was no decision making whatsoever on my part. That was strictly, I followed along that path that he laid out for us.
And Nicole, how when your mom was going through that, and you don't necessarily understand dynamics of adults at that point in time, but you were going through the school, and then ultimately you went to college and things of that nature. How was your world changing? You still were not able to hear. You still were not able to, quote unquote, be normal, or whatever the words are that support you. How is it that you did life back then?
So, again, I did life based on what my mind told me was going to get me the happiness. So if something didn't work, okay, we're going to try something else, and this is going to work. And then I would do that, and then that wouldn't work. And then I just kept going the same route to trying to find different ways. I do remember that a lot of what I experienced, negative emotion. Negative emotion was one that I just could not tolerate. And that was what kind of pushed me to go find quote unquote happiness, because I was experiencing so much pain. I was experiencing frustration from others, probably because of my intensity and my propensity to be stubborn. When someone's trying to give me the answer, then I'm stubborn. I'm like, that's not good enough. Give me something different. I can imagine the frustration created. And I can tell you, when I went to church, it was a thing. Every Sunday we had to get up at, I think, 6 a.m. or 6:30, and I remember thinking, I have to go to school Monday through Friday. I don't want to give up. I'm going to watch cartoons. I don't want to get up at butt crack of dawn and go to church. I remember I was very resistant, but we would go every single Sunday, and I can tell you, every time we went, I would fall asleep. My mom would have to wake me up. So it was never an experience for me that created joy. It was never an experience that made me want to continue. That's why when I turned 18, I was like, no, I'm not going to church, because I just didn't like it. I didn't really hear what the preacher was saying. I had a hard time following
Well,
it.
I'm
It
thinking
wasn't
that same
doing
thing,
anything.
right? I mean, how do you go to church when you can't really hear what's going on?
Correct. Correct. So I wasn't getting the messages. I was only going there because I had to. And I
Yeah.
remember feeling energy, and I remember feeling when I went into the church how heavy it felt. And when the donation plate came through, oh, you could feel the shift. All of a sudden, it felt even heavier. It was like, and now I understand that it's just a big energy around money. Everybody had the beliefs around money, so as that goes around, that's filling the room. And I was very sensitive to it. I just couldn't put a finger on it. I just didn't know it at the time.
Sure.
Um, but yeah, that's kind of how I did life. I just overthinker to the hilt. Let me just try this, try that, and what you call fire ready aim.
Fire ready aim. Yeah, that's something we've talked about before, right? Fair enough. So, Sharla, when you're going through life and Nicole is having these experiences and she turns 18 and she's sort of like, I'm done. See you later. Bye. I'm going to go do what I'm going to go do. What was life like for you?
Well, I understand now better, I think, than what I did then, that she had a choice to make, and she needed to be able to feel comfortable, in those choices. And I think I look back and I didn't have that. I didn't have the ability to choose, because that's just the way it was. And you followed along pretty much the family that you were brought into. That's the family. If I had been living in a different country, say, so to speak, my religious aspects would have been entirely different from what they are today, because that's what I was exposed to. That's all I knew. I didn't know, anything any better. But then as I grew and I went through, my life, and I saw the differences in the different areas. Then, of course, I think and watched Nicole, and I saw also Nicole, what she was going through and the experiences she was having. I began to feel a sense of change within myself. Not that I lost any of my beliefs, I still have my beliefs, but it's the atmosphere in which you place yourself within those beliefs. And there were times when I would even attend a church or go to a different church, and the atmosphere would be entirely different over on this side than what it would be over here, but yet it's the same God. So that was I guess, an awakening, so to speak, for me, that I had to, for the first time in my life, really look within me. Well, who are you, Sharla? Who are you?
Sharla? That is a good question. And how old were you when you asked, who are you, Sharla?
Who are you? And that was not until way, way later in my life, which I'm going to, if it's okay, I'll just go ahead and touch on, because I can piggyback off of Nicole when she was talking about her entrepreneurship.
Okay. Sure.
Because I stayed in education. I was in the classroom until 2000. And then I got the opportunity to move to district office. And in district office, I began writing curriculum. And then writing curriculum led me into doing professional development, which led me out into what we call the field, where we could work, provide professional development face-to-face, and I traveled all over the state of Florida. And that was wonderful. I loved it. And then, of course, COVID hit. And then when COVID hit, then all of a sudden our travel was stifled and everything was online on the internet. So I'm working with Beacon Educator at that time with professional development, but everything is in the online environment. Okay. Now, I reached retirement age. So at 2008, I retired. But I was not ready to cut that education umbilical cord. So I continued with Beacon, which I am still with Beacon to this day. All right, and we're in 2026. Well, backing up to Nicole and watching what she had done with her business and leaving Florida, coming to North Carolina, and then all of a sudden venturing out into her mindset coaching, which I don't think she mentioned a minute ago, but her work that she's done with you and Attracting Grace and everything that she had brought me into. And I started studying and started realizing and learning more in that aspect of her world. All of a sudden, it was like this little light bulb, and it was saying, there's more out there. You've been in education close to 59 years. You think you could do something different? Well, I can do something different.
What is that thought process like?
And that thought process is just totally a new world for me. And it's almost like this is what I wanted back when I was 18 years old, 17, 18 years old, getting ready to go to college. Well, all of a sudden, here it is, landing right in my lap, and I'm close to my 80th birthday. But I don't look at it as any age having anything to do with it. It's the point in time where I am in my life. And 2 years ago, I stepped onto the TED stage and I did a TED Talk, which also led to a book. And prior to that, I've written several books, but I just haven't been into the field, I guess, so to speak, to have everything that's within me in the right perspective and aligned where it can all come together. And that's what's happening. And that's what's happening through the work that we are doing with the magical mind, with the Attracting Grace, and being able to look within and to grow and realize that there's a lot more out there.
There is a lot more out there.
And we are our world's worst enemy. Because I was the one that never thought I was good enough, never thought I belonged, thought that I couldn't meet the expectations no matter how hard I tried. I was insignificant, and I was Miss Perfect.
Oh my, there's a lot to carry there.
There's a lot to carry.
Nicole, what as your mom articulates where she has gone with two careers, generally speaking. One career is just educational for a lot of that time,
Yeah.
and now she's reaching out and trying to do more things, new things, those kinds of things. So tell me a little bit about where you were at that point in time, recognizing that you were not necessarily in the traditional religious aspects, but relative to the direction of your life. Where did you choose for it to go?
So, when I had that profound moment when I decided to meditate and the whole body lit up, I had a opportunity to do something different where it was, okay, there's something out there, what my mom was saying. And I can't, it's hard to describe the experience to put it in words, but I think the best way to describe it is God was giving me a hug. All of a sudden, what I had been looking for, I found it. I found it. I found God. I found exactly what people have been talking about out there, and it was just the most magical and most beautiful experience. Unfortunately, my propensity to perform and to get more of it. All of a sudden, I found what I was looking for, and it wasn't enough. So I had to keep doing it. I had to keep meditating. So I'm meditating 2, 3 hours a day. I'm doing, whatever I could find, more books, more knowledge. I just had to read all this stuff. I just totally took it to the extreme. And I remember when I was working out one day, I was in a state of joy, just totally working out. And all of a sudden, the word Abraham flashed in my mind in big red letters. It startled me because it was something very vivid. And I'm like, Abraham, yeah. And I'm not religious. I'm like, Abraham. And I'm immediately thinking of the Bible. And then I told my mom about the experience. And my mom had been reading a book with me. And she said, Nicole, is Abraham Hicks? Oh boy, so that's something else I can go after. Oh, there's something to look up. Okay, so I go and look it up, and all of a sudden I'm into Abraham Hicks and the law of attraction, and I'm learning about all that stuff. And that's what led me to attracting grace because as I move forward with the law of attraction, you go one way, there's another part of you that's got to catch up. And because I never confronted that side of me, I just kept saying, okay, I'm not good enough. I need to be normal. So I just kept going and just kept writing. So now I'm jumping on a train called the Law of Attraction that's taken me even further. And I had magical experiences. I mean, this stuff, it's great. I mean, it's a lot of good stuff. And it wasn't until I found a book called Heal Your Life by Louise Hay. And in there it had deafness. And I was looking at that word and I thought, okay, so in this book, it tells you about the ailment that we go through. It could be cold, it could be a virus, it could be something as serious as cancer. And all of them have a thought pattern that it starts with, and it creates dis-ease in your body, and that's how it manifests. So when I looked at the word deafness, it threw me out of my seat, and I thought, there's a thought pattern that creates this? And so I keep reading, and then I said, but you can't cure deafness. There's no cure for it. And then I read the word incurable, and it said, no, there's no cure outside. You have to go within to find the cure. So then, oh my God. So now the seed is planted. I'm like, can I get my hearing? Can I be normal? I can get my hearing. I can be my natural hearing. And shortly after that, there was a book called The Power of Eight. And so I got an email asking if I wanted to join this group that someone named Michael Connor was starting a Power of Eight group from Lynn McTaggart. And I thought, oh my goodness. In this particular book, there are people that were paralyzed that got their feeling back. They were getting up from wheelchairs. There were people that had cancer that, had that reverse. And I thought, well, if they could do that, couldn't I get my hearing? So that's what drove me to get into the work. So I showed up in the meeting, and I remember the first time I had a meeting with Mike. I told him, Mike, I need 40,000 by Friday. I was very much in the law of attraction type deal, and I was just into the thing, and I was so desperate. I was desperate to get out of the problem that I had created for myself because of the pattern that I had not yet uncovered. And that's what was so amazing about this work. Is once I started working with Mike and the attracting grace and bringing this to light, all of a sudden now I could look within and I could start shifting, and things became so much easier. And I grew up. I learned better ways to do things. And it helped me in my career. It helped me in my business. It helped me in my relationship with my mom. And that's why I invited her to come to the group, because it was more than just spirituality, let's just say. It was more science than anything. It was more science based, with some spirituality components added to it, of course, but it was very real and measured, and I was experiencing just profound change. And so I wanted my mom to experience that. And she mentioned about not changing her beliefs, and absolutely, you don't change your beliefs. I mean, Jesus Christ is Jesus Christ, and I believe in him too. I mean, he's my brother, and definitely the person I turn to the most. But whoever you believe in, there are still components to self development and looking within, that it doesn't matter what the higher self or the higher being that you're looking up to. There's a process that's the same process for everyone. And this is the process that works. And in less than 3 months of working with Attracting Grace, I started reversing my hearing loss. I got my dream.
I was going to say, it doesn't appear as if you've got hearing aids in right now. So, what exactly is it that happened? How did that work out for you?
You're right. I am not wearing hearing aid today, and I have not been wearing them for the last 5 months. And the hearing aid is something that's a whole journey in and of itself. 40 years of evolving hearing aid from the battery pack, on up. But I made that decision because I stepped into an identity that could hear. Because after working with Attracting Grace and seeing the progress that I was making, I noticed that my hearing aids were holding me back more than anything because I was dependent on them. So I had to learn to train my nervous system that it was okay to go out into the world without perfect hearing. And my hearing aid kind of bridged that gap a little bit, where I could hear, I could hear almost normal level with the hearing aid. They were custom hearing aids. So I had no problem performing outside. But then my nervous system was not getting any kind of improvement or result to be able to be that person with natural hearing. So then when I made the decision to take out my hearing aid and just go with it, just go outside and just take it from there. I mean, I was able to reverse my hearing loss from 2% hearing to 52%. So I was able to bring that all the way up to half of my hearing is all the way here, and I'm hearing things I've never heard before. Like, for example, I would hear snoring. Never heard snoring in all the years that I've been sleeping with someone in the bed, I never heard it. What's that noise? That's snoring, and it's like, oh my God, it's snoring. I can hear it. Like, wow. I mean, it's pretty cool. And I heard cicadas. I think it was like when the cicadas came out, and I remember I was talking on the phone with my mom. I'm like, Mom, your phone is horrible. There's so much static. Like, oh, those are cicadas. I'm like, oh, that's so horrible. That's a horrible noise. It's so loud. Now I understand why people have a hard time.
Indeed.
So yeah, it's opening up a whole new world for me. But what I can tell you that I am so grateful for this work, because it gives me a support system to lean on when the times get tough. Because when your nervous system is challenged, it gets challenged in a very real way. And it's so important to have that support system so you can have the answers. So all the answers I had been looking for when I was a child, I'm getting them now, because now I know the right questions to ask, so that I'm getting, real results. And it's just so, this work is so powerful, and it's so important to have the right support system. And that's what Attracting Grace gave to me. It's what it gives my mom. And then, of course, the magical mind process is what I attribute to the advancement of my hearing, of the reversing the hearing loss. Um, Another really cool thing that happened that people may not realize is that my dreams are silent. And just 2 months ago, I actually heard sound in my dream where,
That's an aspect that I never even thought about, because I've
Me
never
either.
not been there at that point. But you shared that with us a few months ago. That was fascinating.
right, I was in shock. And I remember, and the only reason why I remembered it is because I said the line, well, remember, I started with 2% hearing. And that's when the awareness came in, that I've been hearing this whole time. Oh my God, it was profound. And just 3 days ago, I had another experience where my mom was saying quite loudly, do you want Starbucks? Do you want Starbucks? And I'm dreaming, I'm sleeping, but this is very loud. And of course, I open my eyes. Yeah, I want Starbucks. And she's not there.
She's not there. Yeah.
But I can tell you that I know progress is coming, and well, progress is here, but I know what's coming. I mean, that just cemented for me that it made it to my dream world. So it came from an idea, it came from a seed, and now it's traveling through the ethers. It came into my dream world, and now what's next is going to come into my physical reality. But I have to train my nervous system to accept it first, and that's kind of where I'm at right now in terms of
That's
that.
what episode 3 is going to be for the Unfiltered Butterfly podcast. Episode 3 is going to be largely about how do you train your nervous system to be okay with one of the attributes of your senses, hearing, to be able to choose to hear, and having your system be able to support you as you go through that. Sharla, what's that like for you when you hear Nicole or observe Nicole without earphones having a conversation with us like a quote unquote normal person?
Oh, it's absolutely phenomenal. I mean, I support her 1,000%, and I know, but to see what she's doing and what she's accomplishing, it's just absolutely remarkable. And I know that there are times, I may have to tap her on her shoulder, to get her attention, but she doesn't even really realize, I think, the number of times when I don't do that, but she responds because I'm not always, bringing it to light because I want it to feel natural to her. And I don't want her to get into where she's expecting maybe a moment or even thinking, does mama hear me or not? I want her to be just as normal as she possibly can. So I carry with me in my heart those times when I know that she heard me because she responded.
There you go. Exactly. And what success looks like is really that much
Yeah.
more impressive from what you have all gone through. Now, we're going to talk a little bit more about that, the aspects of hearing and the challenges of it and how it can go up and go down, and every day can seemingly be a different day. We're going to get to that in episodes 3 and 4, and you'll hear about those in the not too distant future. So we thank you for being a part of the Unfiltered Butterfly podcast with Sharla and Nicole. I appreciate that you are here with us. My name is Mike Connor. I am pleased to be able to host these fine ladies and walk them through some of the aspects of life that they are now really, really doing well in. So we will catch up with you on the next episode of the Unfiltered Butterfly podcast. Good night, everyone. Thank you.
Good night.